Welcome again to the Asset Mindset Podcast. Today we have another Green Beret guest, Eric Brown, right here, another seventh grouper too. I love it. You might have been some other places too, but I'm glad to have you here, Eric, and to share your Green Beret approach on life and what you're doing. And can you just share with the Asset Mindset audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, no problem. Hey, thanks for having me on the show, Dan. Like you said, I'm a Special Forces veteran, did about 25 years, and now I'm the CEO of Imperial Consulting, where we focus on building teams that can adapt, communicate, and execute. A lot of principles that we had from our Green Beret past. We use a simple framework, what I call the Green Beret approach, and where we take simplicity, adaptability, and collaboration to help them overcome whatever challenges they have. It also allows me to bring in my fellow Green Beret brothers and sisters to work just like we're on a team and continue all I like to do, helping people.
That's fantastic. So, what was it like transitioning from, active duty to now being a CEO? And can you share your mindset and your ups and downs and struggles with that?
That's a pretty deep question on all of that. Yeah, it is definitely a road and or highway of ups and downs where equate entrepreneurship or owning your own business, however big or small. It's like a roller coaster. You're struggling to get up that hill and then or the track, and all of a sudden it just falls out. Everything's great, and then you're struggling to get back up. I had to learn a lot, to take uh, what we did on in special forces on the teams, and it took a little bit for me to identify and then also be able to communicate it to the folks working with the private sector. We have a lot in common in business, and especially within the C-suite of how our mindset is and how we attack problems, being precise and really getting after it and being trying to be the best we are. That directly translates into what the men and women that are running businesses have the same challenges, but they have that saying what I say, grit and determination like we do. They just look at it different. We use different acronyms and names, and just gotta figure out how to get on the same page. It's definitely a challenge, man. What we always joke. I don't know if you ever use the saying, building an airplane while it's flying." I think that's what starting a new business is like.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. You don't really want to do that though, but sometimes you have to. And that's one of the things, when you say you bring the Green Beret concept with your business and consulting, that's what I'm trying to do with the book and the asset mindset philosophy. I talk about it being the special forces mindset where you need to adapt, improvise, overcome. You talked about there being a lot of things in common. Can you share some of those common themes so that people can understand that Green Berets or Navy SEALs or any special operators, we're not just superhuman people. Like we have a lot in common with regular people too, and those things can be applied to us.
Yeah. So essentially, on that asset mindset, I think you look at instead of people being liabilities or something as a challenge to look at, you're looking at people at being assets and bringing out the best of what you have, right? In SF, when you're going on a mission, you're going to find not just any team, but you're going to find the right team for the right mission, and you put the right skill sets together to overcome that. I think within in business, those leaders of the company are trying to do the same thing where they have a challenge or trying to figure out something, and they're just bringing in the right people at the right time and building that team to achieve what they're trying to get at. And then also being adaptable, like you said. I don't know how many missions you went on in SF, but I guarantee you whatever you planned on is going to happen. As soon as the first bullet flew or the first challenge came up, the plan changed. But you knew what the end state that you're going for, and you're able to adapt, right, and overcome. Uh, I see a lot of that with businesses being able to adapt. However, I would say it takes a little bit more of what we bring in with our unique experiences within SF, where we haven't just did one thing our entire lives. Like when you went on missions, you have not only did you go to Afghanistan or Iraq to war, You also worked within embassies, working with the State Department, or you worked in a foreign country, teaching people how to, shoot or something. And each of those presented unique challenges and problems that you had to overcome, which we bring into the private sector, where no matter what's thrown at us, we're able to think it out, apply some lesson that we learned in our past to help us overcome what we're facing now. And I think that helps. A lot of the folks in business might not have as much experiences that's outside of their normal track, right? A lot of them they're experts in what they do, but it's very specialized. Uh, yeah. So
No, that's right on. Can you share some of the mindset that you bring in for when you face those obstacles now in the corporate world? What what's the mindset tools that you use that you learned while being a Green Beret and being in the Army?
yeah, it's good. Another good question, man. So well, the special forces principles that we apply, that we're bringing in, I'll break it down as I said on the intro. First one we bring in is simplicity. And that doesn't mean things are easy, right? But when we say simplicity, we're cutting through the complexity to clarify the goals and break down whatever you're working at to a simplest form. So it's not so, you can figure out step by step and try to overcome everything at one time. So you're taking complex problems and breaking it down into bite-sized pieces to overcome that, right? So a lot of people, break it down to the simplest thing. So when you're going to go clear a house, first thing you learn how to do is, you load your gun first, right? You start working on the range, then you work up running through rooms, dry fire. So if you're coming up in the business for a complex deal, break it down to the simplest level and then work your way up to what you're trying to overcome. The next thing we talk about is adaptability, being able to respond rapidly to changing situations. Uh, what I try to bring to the business where some of I haven't used before is like our regular check-ins, right? Instead of just waiting 2 weeks to check on what's going on, checking in more often, and then more importantly, bringing it to them what we do with our after action review or our debrief. Diving down. Hey, what happened in this deal from the start to the finish? Because a lot of times they'll focus on just what went wrong and what went right, instead of trying to figure out what they did step by step to get them to where they're at in. And then last thing coming from the teams, right? What makes us we work really well because we're a small team that we know each other and know each other's strengths. So bring in collaboration, right? A team wins, not an individual. So if one person's struggling, we rally around to support them, not to blame them. All right. Now I know some people listening might joke, yeah, we did ridicule each other a lot in SF on the teams, but it was with love. Uh, but you just gotta go around and help pull each other up because you're stronger as a team. So those three things is what we bring as principles from as a green oriented business: simplicity, adaptability, collaboration.
Nice. Very good. So I'm going to get on the more personal level now. What was the moment you first realized you were mentally stronger than your circumstances?
I think these I don't know if I knew it at the time. It goes back to like a very dark moment within my SF career. Back in 2008 9 rotation to Afghanistan, my team had an IED initiated ambush, and we lost 3 team members instantly to a very large IED. Right, where I was the warrant on the team, which means I'm a assistant detachment commander. The commander lost his life that day, and instantly I was put in charge. Uh, and if you haven't been in that situation, everything like just stops. And you gotta really, like, holy shit, did that just happen? Right? And you have to put all your emotions to a side and really focus on what's going on in that moment, so you get the rest of the guys clear and still, move forward with what's going on. And not that you're not gonna mourn the loss of the heroes that die, but you got to focus on that. So that day, I was able to do that. So that's one moment where I know, like, even though the worst thing can happen, you still have to stop, collect your thoughts, move forward. Working because those guys to your left and right rely.
What a thing to go through. And Thank you for all your service, obviously, brother. And, going through that is hell. My team and my time, I was lucky I didn't have anything that devastating. Or we lost multiple team members. We lost some guys in the company, and we lost people in different battalions. But my team, we made it out, and everything was good. But having that happen and put yourself in that leadership role, obviously, you're a human being. You're in one role, and now you're all of a sudden having to do this other role. What was it like in your head going through that? And then how'd you just stay positive and focused? Like, were there any tricks or tools, or what'd you find yourself doing?
I'm about staying positive in the moment, but I was saying more so, you have to stop, collect your thoughts, and you get back to the basics, right? Of exactly what's happened in that moment. And at that time, what I relied on was our, believe it or not, our team SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures. What do we do at that moment for when that happened? Because we had trained for that. So, tying a little bit what I was saying before on the simplicity of went back to my training and was like, okay, Eric, what do you got to do right this second? Right. You know, call into a hire, asking for air support, you know, shifting the guys out to the right positions. Uh, But I will say, even though, a lot of that relied on me, more so having a strong team by your side where they knew exactly what they needed to do at their moment, right? They were able to push through, you know, horrific thing that just happened, was able to shift and do what they needed to do, right? So I would rely on that, going back to the basics and trusting those, for us as the guys on our left and right, or trusting those men and women that you're working with, right? No matter what happens, you got to trust that they know what they're doing, so you can do what you need to do. And that's what makes everything work and able to overcome, you know, really large challenges in those worst situations, is trusting what you've learned over, how you've practiced and got to where you're at, and more so trusting people to your left and right. Because if you don't trust the people that you're working with, that they're capable of doing what they need to do, it's going to affect your performance and theirs at the same time. And you're not gonna win. You're gonna fail because of that lack of trust.
No, that's great advice. Trust is so important in your team and the people you're working with. You don't want to work with people you don't trust. Sometimes you're forced into situations, especially business, but you don't want to do that. And I like what you shared that's pretty powerful that I hope the listeners picked up on is you just did that next thing, that next 20-meter target or that next step. When you are faced with a huge problem or an obstacle or challenge in life, just go to the next thing. Like we all know one little thing we can do and just move forward, just keep moving forward. And that will make the big difference rather than being stuck and being overwhelmed. You got to move. And I'm sure you find that to be 100% true because that's what you were sharing. And that's so
No, no,
important.
100%. And you're right. Uh, whatever simplicity thing you can bring to it. I'm taking this from other folks I've heard before. If you make your all famous to do list, if everything's just going to crap and you're feeling overwhelmed, find the simplest thing that you can accomplish and knock it out, because that's going to give you that freaking uh, dopamine blast, that feeling of accomplishment, and you're just going to push you forward, right? Because, all right, I got that done. I can do the next thing. Whereas if you just like look at your computer screen, you're like, man, I got 20 things going on right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough resources. And then you freeze. And then in our past job, if you freeze, you're going to get shot. All right. If you're freeze in business, people are losing their jobs or you're losing money.
Well, I like that. Small victories. We were taught that in SEER school. Like just small victories. You gotta just find those little things, and those little things add up to medium things. And then those medium things grow and become big things. And like you said, the dopamine hits, getting that positive, like, all right, I can accomplish some stuff. I can do things and start getting those wins, and wins add up. I think that's fantastic. So, what's some of the biggest win lessons or experiences you've had?
As the biggest thing on some of the biggest wins of one, if you want to look at success working, let's say in the private sector, we have let's say one of my, first clients that we were working with, they were switching from, where they were doing third party delivery of the product to direct to consumer. And they had an 18-month strategy, and they brought us in for the last, 6 months to try to, figure out how are they going to do that big shift. And then working with them over a offsite they did in 3 days of seeing that team when they first got them, and they're a little bit disjointed and not working together. And then after just, working for us or working with us over a few days time, seeing them come together and really start clicking with each other, that was really big of like a win. Like, oh, like, our principles do work, and what we used on SF teams can, you know, directly apply to what they're doing. And then fast forward, I think about 2 years later, one of those folks from that company called one of my guys and asked for like life changing advice from the interaction they had over 3 days. Uh, this person trusted one of my teammates with Imperia to give them advice on a life changing event. Think how like dramatic that is. If you only hung out with somebody that much, but you had that much effect on their life that they're going to call for like, and that was big for me hearing that happened.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's incredibly powerful. And you see that how, I mean, on teams and in the military, and you have a junior, you see that junior, grow and succeed, and these these things are just incredible. Now, I think that a lot has to do with mentorship because it sounds like in those 3 days, your team did some hell of mentorship for the people you were working with. So, how important to you is mentorship and finding good mentors?
It's huge, man. Mentorship. I had it throughout my career. I was lucky to have some really good mentors. It's crucial. If somebody asks me a question how they can get better at something, or hey Eric, how do I do this? First thing I tell them is to find somebody that's doing it, that's already achieved what you're doing, and see if they'll mentor you to get there. I was lucky to give a shout out to the Honor Foundation. When I was going through their program during transition, they linked me up a mentor named Guy Hart, who is the CEO of Plus Delta Partners. Throughout my transition and then the start of Imperio, I got so much great advice and mentorship from him that's traveled forward now that, I've been out now for about 3 years and we still talk. We still, I still call him. We still do things together. Uh, he comes out to most of the Imperial events to be one of the senior mentors there. And on the flip side, the how important mentors is and how much if you find the right one, they'll carry through. Aaron Bush he was a Green Beret, probably one of the, best ones I met throughout my 25 years. He was one of my biggest mentors in SF and still carries on today, right? Met him in 2008 and it's 2025. And I was, still call in for advice. If you don't have a mentor, whoever it is, and they don't have to be older than you. You can get mentored by like somebody that's younger, but they've got something figured out that you don't. Uh, but you got to be willing to listen to advice, and you just can't have somebody that's going to tell you that everything's all rainbows and freaking flowers, whatever it is. You got to be able to take that criticism, like, hey, Eric, you're jacked up right now, man. You're not doing the right thing. You should, this is what I think, and then be able to take that criticism, be like, "Oh, all right, yeah, you're right. I am jacked up. Let me fix myself." Because a lot of times people get stuck. They only hear that you're doing great, right? No one ever want to hear when you're jacked up. That's what I've learned. Be able to take the feedback, where it's good feedback or bad feedback, because both of them is going to make you better.
Great advice. It's like tough love, right? You got to have the tough love. You can't have all the soft, easy hugging love. You need that tough love sometimes. And with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tough love, you need to have thick skin, right?
But I've learned that the delivery that we used in our team are in the translating into the private sector. You still have tough love, but the delivery is a little bit different than how we did it. I try to get them to the point they can take our the same kind of tough love that we did within the team room, but it was still a challenge.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little different. So give me an example of tough love in your new, civilian lifestyle.
Uh, but it's not tough love for them. It's also for me of like when you see something and you're mentoring a client, right? Uh, to be able to tell them like what you're doing is not working. This is how I see it, and this is the effects I'm seeing. Uh, and I would recommend that you would do this, right? Because you never want to present a problem without a solution. Uh, but early on, it was really tough because you got a company paying you money to help them out, and then you want to tell them, well, hey, sir, you're actually the problem right now. Like the way that you're doing it and how you're interacting with your team is causing some friction. You might want to tweak this and that. It took a while to be able to do that, right? Because you're like, shoot, I don't get fired from the people I'm working with just because it's hard. But it was like being able to tell somebody you might be the problem because everyone was what is going wrong, and you start looking at all the external factors. Is it the people that were the companies that are process we're working on? Is it my team? They're not firing all cylinders, or oh, you know what it is? Looking at mirror, you could be the one. So that I would say that would be one of the things of tough love of being able to tell somebody they're the challenges that's happening right that second. And it doesn't mean that you're messed up forever. Right that second, you're the one. And in your life and on the range or wherever you've been as a Green Beret on a team, we've both been that one dude that's like, that was on me. That was on me. And now let me fix it and let me own that. So the tough love I would say in the private sector, whoever, is getting people to realize to take ownership of their mistakes as much as they take ownership of their success.
Nice. I like what you brought up too about looking in the mirror, because we all need to do that at times. So, say someone is struggling, they're having problems wherever it is in life, and they're looking in the mirror and they're trying to figure things out. What advice or things would you tell them?
Yeah, when you're looking at it, don't be so hard on yourself that you're going to put yourself in such a dismal mood. You're sitting in a corner in a dark room, just like with your hand, paralyzed. When you look at yourself and you're seeing and you don't like it, go back to what you said earlier. Find something that you can fix right at that second, right? Or, that day. Let's say you wanted to get in better shape and you hadn't been in the gym in 6 months. And you're like, oh man, I need to go to the gym again today. You know what? Get up, go outside, simple as it, go for a 30-minute walk. You did something, right? And then the next day, then hit the gym. Or hey, going is be simply, you're on a diet, you've been on a diet for 6 months, you're crushing it, and then you slip up and you screw your diet up for the day. You eat a piece of cake. And a lot of people do, they're like, F it after that. I'm just going all in, and then they throw the last 6 months away where they were crushing it every day for 6 months. They have one slip up and they throw the whole thing away. Nice. All right, yeah, you had a slip up, but just maintain what was working. Don't throw all your progress away just because you slip up one time on something.
No, absolutely. The struggle is real for everybody. That's what I try and tell my listeners and people that are on that growth mindset or the asset mindset path is that you're going to struggle. It's part of life. You're a human being. There's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. But what do you do with those days? So if you're having a bad day, and your inner dialogue's going off, what do you do, or are there any techniques? I know you mentioned go for a walk, but what do you do to fight that negativity?
Well, if it's really bad, man, the biggest thing I'll tell somebody is pick that phone up and call somebody. Call your mentor. Have that conversation. Hey, man, I got this going on. What's your advice? Have you been in this situation that I'm in? What did you do? Right, and you're gonna get some good advice. And that's I think that's the fastest way you pull your way out of it. If not, if like you know, let's say I've had it where you're doing within other side of some real estate where you had a deal that you've been working for a month and all of a sudden it falls out in 24 hours and everything was great. What do you do then? Bring it back to the basics of the AR and go from the start and look at each item that happened to see, hey, was that on me that this deal just fell out? Or was it just some unforeseen circumstance, that came and crushed the deal, like a zoning thing or something like that? And then if you do that, you take that moment and really analyze what's going on, you're gonna put yourself out on it because you're gonna start looking at uh the cause and effect that got you there. Not just focus on the shit, I just lost a 100 grand deal and it's gone. Because it's really easy to do. There's a focus.
Yeah.
We either in business when you sign a deal over 6 months and you're going to get paid, you start counting that money before it even hits your bank account. Just it's human nature. A real estate agent, gets a new listing. They spent that commission before they even sell the house, before they even get a buyer. And when they lose that, it's really easy to get like down and out. But sit back, analyze it, break it down, find the good points, bad points, and you just got to move on. You can't dwell on what's happening now, right? It's gone. We can't rewind it in the past yet. So just focus on the next day, the next deal, the next whatever, because the next one you're going to win, right? You can't just focus on the failures that you've had.
No, absolutely, and that's what we talk about here on the channel is staying focused and, you gotta keep swinging. You wanna hit a home run, you gotta go up to bat and swing the bat, alright, you strike out. But guess what? Even in that analogy, if you have a 300 batting average, that's only 3 hits out of every time you go up. That's pretty damn good. You're successful. And there's the old saying too, like, "Oh, 9 out of 10 businesses fail." That means you only have to try 10 things? I think that's not too bad. And guess what? Number one or number two or number three could be the winning business, so there's always hope and you just got to keep moving forward. So, with you moving forward now in the civilian world and running this business, are you finding it more difficult to communicate military stuff or are you finding that it actually works really well?
No, I think it's over the years we're doing it, I think 5 years now. It gets easier translating into like translating the military speak into the private sector, talk, but you're still learning every day. What I find is you keep finding like similarities where you can go back to a past experience to help what they're going through. But yeah, I think it's getting easier, but it's still a challenge, right? Because there's always something you're gonna get thrown at, and you're like, what is that? What is going on right now? And then again, you call your mentor or get on Google or ChatGPT, whatever you got, man. You can figure it out.
No,
There's so many
exactly.
resources now that really, man, your biggest thing that you got to learn how to do is be able to think critically, right? Come up with the idea or how to do it. Because there's a ton of stuff to help for the stuff in the middle. There's all kinds of assets to help that. But the initial thought and the follow through is where you come in as a person, to whatever your role is, right? That thought and that experience that you bring to the table.
Nice. So, what tips or advice for coming up with a thought? Like, say someone's wanting to start something, how would they or how would you advise them to build that thought or idea?
Yeah, good one, man. I would say if you try to come up with the first thing, yeah, whatever you want to do, write it down. Right, write it down on a piece of paper or type into a note in your computer. Because the moment you write it down, it becomes more real. Right, it's not just floating in your head. Because I can have great ideas and then somebody will talk to me and I forgot what I was thinking about 30 minutes ago. And it's because I got knocked in the head quite a bit or blown up a couple times, but whatever. But you write it down, all right? And once you write it down, start doing some research. Look on the internet what is in that field that you're trying to do. And then the next thing from what we talked about earlier, you get on LinkedIn, find people that are doing it. First in your network. That's the best thing, right? Hey, I want to be uh, a private equity person, right? I want to go into private equity. All right, let me look in my LinkedIn or in my cell phone. Do I have any friends that went into private equity? Gary, boom. Oh, I got one. Or it was a Green Beret that did it. Call him up. Hey, man, how do you like this? Or I'm thinking about this. And there's quite a few of foundations like 51 Vets that have that networking thing Or for us SF guys, the SF Slack channel, if you're not familiar with that, where you jump on there, you throw it out there, you ask other people. Then you start getting their feedback, and then you can really figure out, hey, is that what I want to do? And don't just ask people what the good things are about what they're doing. One big question when you get on there and have our, virtual, what I call virtual cups of coffee, right? Taking that from the Honor Foundation and whoever else says that, probably 1,000 people. But hey, at your job, what do you hate? What do you hate about what you're doing? Or what is, you don't, particularly like? And you'll catch people off guard, but you'll get an answer and then ask them what they like about it. And then make sure that aligns with what you're trying to get after. Um, I think that's pretty helpful.
No, definitely. And I think what you said, doing the research, building the network, do the research on your thought, on the idea, and see, okay, is this viable? Put the work in. You still need to require work in life. Nobody's going to come and hand it to you. You got
Yeah,
to do the
definitely
work.
nothing's easy. Nothing that's worth having is easy. It's going to be hard. And like you said, hey, you got to put the work in.
Absolutely. And I love the new thing that's floating around the internet and Instagram and everywhere is like, choose your heart. It's hard to be poor. It's hard to go to work and make a lot of money. They're both hard. Choose your hard. It's hard to stay in shape and it's hard to be out of shape and not be healthy. Choose your hard.
I like that, man. I haven't seen that. But
Yeah,
that's
no,
definitely
definitely. It's one out there.
100% true. 100% true of like big. Yeah, I like that.
It's our choices in life. And that's where, I try and convey, and I'm sure you convey that too all the time with your business and when you're advising that people, they're their ultimate asset. Like you need to take ownership. Nobody's going to do it for you. You need to control your life. You need to be the captain of your ship. Where do you want to sail? People will help. They'll be crew members. They'll point you in the right direction, but you have to sail the ship.
That
So
hundred
now
percent.
I want to get a little more personal and maybe in the past when you were younger or whatnot. What was a big obstacle for you in life or a challenge that you really made a shift and said, you know what, I can control my life, seeing as how we're talking on control?
Yeah. Oh, really. Man, that's a tough question. Thinking back, one thing of going to say is back when I was in the Army or in Special Forces, a lot of times you think you don't have control, right? Because there's a lot of people within the military telling you what to do or what you should do. This is Eric. You have to go to this school and then do this and then this, or you won't get promoted, or you won't do this. And they're modeling it after what they did, what their right was for them. A challenge me was like, all right, I trust those folks of what they're trying to tell me, but be able to stop, listen to what they was right for them, and be able to say, you know what, boss, that's not right for me. And I did that with an assignment within when I was in the Army, and I was given an assignment, and I was like, no, that's not where I want to go and work. I want to go work here. And it was hard, and I got a lot of pushback. However, I was able to overcome that and get the job that I wanted. And it was one of the best decisions I made. It's where I should have been. It's where I like to work, the people and the mission and whatnot. But I had to give up, a lot of, like of telling your boss. I don't know how many people have told their boss no, but normally it's pretty tough. But I had to, it ended up working out for me. But that was definitely a challenge because for the first, I don't know how many years, I was 20 years in at that time, maybe 22. Yeah, I've been doing exactly what everyone's told me for 20, 22 years. And then I was like, not anymore. I'm going to do this. And it worked out. I lost a little bit, rapport with some folks, but whatever. It was the best thing for me and my family at the time. So every once in a while, you get what's right for someone else. Sometimes it's good to imitate and follow in people's footsteps, but sometimes, like you said, you gotta drive your own boat or sail your own ship and go your own way. And that's really tough to do, especially in the military. I would say with other folks, You went to a school to be X profession. So you're gonna be a lawyer and you're being a lawyer and you're like, shit, this sucks. This is what I want to be. I'm gonna stop being a lawyer and I'm gonna go open my own business. And everyone's gonna look at you like you're crazy. But if that's not your passion of what you're doing, you gotta find that passion. So, you're fulfilled in life, whatever it takes.
No, I think you just hit right there another thing, your passion. You need to find your passion. You need to know, all right, what really drives me? And I like that you figured that out in your career. Like, no, I want to be over here. I want to work with this team or this group or wherever you were going. And that's powerful. So, listeners out there, like, if you don't know your passion, take some time, go for a walk, figure it out. But just like Eric said, you got to have the passion because that's going to add meaning. And how much, once you've realized that you want to follow your passion, Eric, have you realized and that's made your life just so much easier in what you're doing?
Yeah, I would say it does if because you're happy in what you're doing, right? If you're in that mundane, I just get up, go to work, get home, sit down, you're like, what did I even do today? Right. And it's not fulfilling. And there's I've been there. You just got to figure out what is fulfilling to you and do that. And at first, a lot of time, and I'll tell you, a lot of times, what fulfills you the most is going to make you the happiest. It's probably not going to be initially the easiest thing to do, like starting a business. Uh, there's a lot of money goes into that, and there's not a lot of money coming in when you first start, right? Or even after you've been doing it for a while. But as long as you can, you're fulfilling your requirements for your family or yourself, just keep pushing at it, right? Because the worst thing you can do is work just because of money, right? I mean, I know you need it, super important. Life, it's super hard, sucks if you don't have it. Uh, that also sucks if you're doing something that you hate and there's no fulfillment and you're not doing any good for, yourself or anyone else. Suck it up and try something hard. Because if you really look at it, if you screw it up and you're like, shit, I fell on my face on that one, you go right back to what you're doing. You go back to the 9 to 5 and do, mundane till you save up enough to go for your next adventure, right? So don't be scared, right? You could always, you can recover from anything, in my opinion. Now, how bad you screw things up, you can recover. So this is like
I,
learning
I agree.
new computer program. Push every button on that computer program. You're not going to break it. Just keep pushing the buttons.
Nice. It's like me on a computer, right? Trying to do my stuff.
Yeah. Can't break it, man.
Yeah.
If you do,
So
just buy.
so we talked about passion. How about mixing passion and purpose together?
Yeah, 100%. You got to find something that fulfills you. But taking from my mentor, what we call, you got to have a double bottom line, right? So, in the bottom line, we're all capitalists, right? We all want to make money. We want to be able to provide ourselves or for our family. But for whatever you're doing, underneath that, you have to have a really strong foundation of something that's being good, right? Where I see good in what I do with Imperial is a lot of times I bring in, I'd say, Green Berets that have not worked so much within the private sector. Every time I make a new relationship or connection with that Green Beret and then that executive or that business person, that's a new relationship built where either they're going to continue to be friends and now good is in that they're learning from each other, or that Green Beret is going to learn something, he's going to start his own business, or he's going to reach out and get that next job, right? That business leader is going to learn more about us folks in the military and be like, oh man, that's not what I thought they did. They truly are assets, and they're going to hire more military. They're going to hire more Green Berets because they've seen what we bring to the table. So that's where I see my passion is connecting our community with the community within the business, so everybody wins, right? Of the what we call in some of our events, we call it OPEX, operator executive, right? Of bring the two together to build those new relationships. So there's stuff gained on both sides, and that holds up, the fact of the business and what we're putting out there. It's making those personal connections so people can learn and grow.
Fantastic. And anybody out there that's listening, if you want to get in touch with Eric and Imperio, please pause. Go into the description, There's all kinds of information there. You can connect with him. You can connect on LinkedIn and reach out because I'm sure he'd be happy to work with you and you can learn more about Green Berets and how we operate. And of course, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe the Asset Mindset podcast as well. So, what do you see your future next with Imperio? Are you going to grow? Are you wanting to go nationwide? What's your, 300-meter target down there?
Yeah, I mean, we'll always go anywhere. We'll go anywhere a client wants us to go. Uh, One thing, the coming up that we've been growing, that we're besides just going in person to all sites. Uh, I'm offering now a combination of a Hogan Leadership Series assessment along with our one-on-one virtual coaching, where uh, we'll help you where you get one-on-one, and we have a 6-month program to take you through where essentially we take principles of being a Green Beret and unconventional warfare, and what we say is stop having your business run you, and you run your business um, through one-on-one mentorship. So that's something we're trying to grow and be able to connect with folks that way, so you can reach more people because there's only so many places I can be at one time.
So, what is your biggest thing you're trying to share when you're talking about like show unconventional warfare or what Green Berets do? What's like, give me one, two, three, like the three sustains, that you're bringing over into the CEO world. What would people be
Yeah,
learning from you?
really, one taking a minute to be able to really, or what are you trying to achieve? Identifying that the challenge that you're trying to overcome, and then how we did within special forces. Next is defining the environment that you're in with that challenge. Is it external or internal? Is it resources? Is it people? And then sharing with them how do you define the risk that you're taking on for what you're doing? Is it, weighing out, is it worth it? And how much risk are you telling to achieve to overcome that? And finally, defining and putting a plan forward of that roadmap of how you're going to get there. Um, so bringing that structured process that's repeatable that you can apply to each challenge that you come or encounter.
That's fantastic. I love when people are able to take things that we learned and all the experiences we have and that adapt the flexibility, the different things in different environments and AOs, and you got to learn on the run. A lot of people don't have that flexibility. They're very rigid. Like you talked about earlier, oh, you're told to do this. Your boss said this is what you need to do. You need to do the report this way, or you need to do that. Getting a Green Beret on the ground and just saying, hey, go. We're going to look at all different angles, try and figure all different things out, network, build relationships, key leader engagements. And I think you bringing that over to the civilian world is amazing and fantastic. I think it's going to have so many positive results for you, your business, Imperio, other people that you work with, because there really is so many benefits to what we've experienced and what we've learned in those hostile environments where things, you get down and dirty when it's life and death, as you know. And those things, those capabilities, or the habits that we have in preparation for dealing with those scenarios are so important. What do you do for yourself for preparation and maintaining who and what you are going through life now?
Really, just try to remember where I came from, stay true to who I am. Try really hard to stay in contact with my former teammates and who I am, and then uh, ground myself in. Another thing I try to do to keep on it is staying connected to the community or this within special forces, so I can really remember, know what they're doing now, and remember where I came from, so I can keep pushing and interacting with the private sector. But it really comes down to knowing yourself and staying true to who you are and being honest whether you can do something or not, and just putting it out there. And a lot of times, hey, I can't do that now, but I can. You give me 6 months and I can do it. I'll figure out how to do it. Um, but yeah, so staying true to who you are.
Nice. So, what would the present you go back and tell your young adult 20-year-old you about life?
Uh, that's funny. So one of my clients I'm coaching online right now is asked me that same, very similar question. Uh, and what I had told him is I would have been a little bit not as impulsive as I was in my 20-year-old. I would uh, took a little bit more of those momentary pauses to really assess what's going on and look at the best way forward. Whereas in my 20s, I was more like, I don't know if you've seen the YouTube clip, Corey Jenkins of let's just go after it and screw whatever happens. That's where I was at. And I mean, it worked. I screw up, here and there, but I just jumped into it. But as I'm older now, I'd be like, you know what? I, I would probably still jump into it, but I would assess exactly which way I want to go instead of, just jumping head first without looking.
I like that. Yeah, you still got to jump in life. You still have to take action, but don't jump head first.
Yeah.
Maybe look down there, see what's in the water. You might want to land feet first.
Yep.
Feet,
Figure it
knees
out.
together.
Yep.
No, that's good. So I gotta say, man, it's great seeing what you're doing and how you're just bringing all the wonderful things that are in our regiment and that guys we've served with have done and created for years on our planning, on our habits and mindset, how we are able to think and problem solve. And you're taking that over and you're sharing and expanding it. I know for myself, our motto, De Oppressor Liber, to free from oppression or free the oppressed. That I try and bring over with my book, with people oppress themselves with their own thinking, their own negativity, victim mentality, all these different things. So I'm trying to do that. You're trying to do that. And I just think it's fantastic. And we need more people to be receptive and be willing to grow. Take those leaps. And yes, look before you leap and make a difference in the world. Is there anything that you'd like to share with the audience about mindset or a last message that you'd like to give to the listeners?
Yeah. Really, when it comes to mindset, just work hard to keep a positive mindset and know deep down inside if you want to achieve something, you can achieve it. And don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. As soon as somebody tells you you can't do something, 100% that's something you should be doing right that second. You'll have so many people tell you why you shouldn't do something that's never done it. Listen to your own voice inside, be methodical, really plan it out systematically, but don't let anyone tell you not to do something or you can't do it. Screw that, move forward, knock it out, whatever you want to do. Just be systematic and methodical about it, thoughtful in what you're going after, and do it. Because I hear too many people not doing what they want to do because they're listening to their buddy or whoever should be. Take their advice, listen to it, but in the end, you are you and do what you want to do because it'll work out if you live like that. If you live for other people, you're gonna get you're not gonna get the results that you want.
Yeah, if you live for other people and don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be happy. And guess what? When you're not happy, the people around you aren't happy because it all rubs off. So you got to take care of yourself. I've talked about recently with airplane. When you're on the airplane, what do they say? Put your oxygen mask on first before you can help anybody else. Like there's a reason they say that. So that's very important. Again, Eric, I want to thank you for your time today. I love what you're doing. I appreciate you being on the show. Please reach out anytime if, I can ever help out with anything. And for all you listeners out there, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. And of course, share this video and the podcast with the people who need it. And number one, don't forget, own your power.